please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
The top political story, BJP leader B.S. Yeddyurappa has been sworn in as the 19th Chief Minister of Karnataka. However, his appointment as the Chief Minister of the state is subject to the Supreme Court's final decision. Remember, even though the BJP emerged as the single largest party in Karnataka Assembly with 104 seats, it failed to touch the majority figure of 113 seats. Despite the shortfall and in spite of a claim by the Congress-JDS post-poll alliance to form the government, the state's governor Vajubhai Vala went ahead and invited B.S. Yeddyurappa to take oath and prove majority within the next 15 days. Now, the decision by Karnataka's Governor Vajubhai Vala to invite the BJP despite the lack of majority did not go unchallenged. The Congress and the JDS moved the Supreme Court late last night seeking a stay on the swearing-in ceremony. What ensued was a 4-hour-long midnight thriller. Ashpreet Sethi, who's had a long night tracking that hearing, joins us to take us through what unfolded last night. Ashpreet.
Well, it was quite a history in the making because it is unprecedented that the Supreme Court has taken any matter related to constitution or as far as assembly formation is concerned. Now, here, of course, the court has, remember, 10:30 is the time when the Congress team had got in touch with the Supreme Court registrar. Then after that, around 11 p.m., they had gone ahead and filed a joint plea against the governor's decision between the Supreme Court. So Congress and JDS had filed it. Now remember, that was the exact time, in fact, 40 minutes later when B.S. Yeddyurappa tweeted again saying, I will be taking charge or sworn in as CM on Thursday. However, after a lot of deliberation, the Chief Justice of India finally decided that they will be looking at going ahead and hearing the matter at 1:45 a.m. in the night. Now remember, there's only one matter which was heard that late at night and went on till 4. That was the Yaqub Memon hanging case. Now, this was the second one which has happened in Supreme Court. Now, of course, the matter went on, the hearing went on for about 3.5 hours. After around 5:30 in the morning, the Supreme Court said, the 3 judges bench led by Justice A.K. Sikri said that they will not be interfering. The swearing-in ceremony will go ahead. However, whatever developments are there in Karnataka will be subject to court's final decision. Now, the matter will be taken up tomorrow. We also pick up that Congress has filed an immediate appeal right now, an interim appeal seeking that whoever goes on the floor should not be from different castes. In fact, I'm still getting details of that, but this is the update that we have tomorrow. Supreme Court will be hearing the matter.
All right, Ashpreet, thank you very much. We'll have you back tomorrow with the latest on what the Supreme Court has to make of these. But we'll stay with this story. Senior Congress leaders, including Ghulam Nabi Azad, Ashok Gehlot and former Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, are protesting at the State Secretariat against B.S. Yeddyurappa swearing in as the Chief Minister of Karnataka. JDS leaders have also joined the protest. They are opposing Karnataka Governor Vajubhai Vala's decision to grant 15 days to the BJP to prove its majority in the Legislative Assembly. Rukmini Rao, who has been on the ground tracking all of these developments, joins us with the latest. Rukmini.
Chief Minister Siddaramaiah, right after taking oath, assumed his office here at Vidhan Saudha and conducted a press conference, but really stopping short of announcing the farm loan waivers as in fact it was there in the BJP's manifesto. In fact, Yeddyurappa went on to say that he would call the farm loan waivers in the next 2 days after consulting the Chief Secretary, who's been asked to provide data. On the other side, we are also hearing that all the MLAs who, after the protest, went back to resorts have been, in fact, holed up in the resort. The security has been tightened. They're not being let to go outside. And in fact, JDS Supremo H.D. Kumaraswamy, as we understand, is already in talks with legal experts to really chalk out the next plan of action post-Supreme Court's verdict tomorrow.
All right, Rukmini, thank you very much for joining.
आज इस देश में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पर जबरदस्त आक्रमण हो रहा है। आपने कर्नाटक में देखा, एमएलए एक तरफ खड़े हैं, और गवर्नर दूसरी तरफ खड़े हैं। और आप जानते हो कोशिश क्या है? जेडीएस के नेता ने कहा है कि 100 करोड़ रुपए उनके एमएलए को ऑफर किया गया है।
People should know about the attitude of this BJP central government headed by Narendra Modi, according to me. Where is the strength in BJP to prove their majority on the floor? How this governor behaved? He has not properly taken any decision according to the law and according to his power. He misused his office.
We go to the people, and today we are making protest here, and we will go to the people, and we will tell the people how the BJP people is supporting Constitution and going against the provisions of the Constitution, and they have no belief in democracy, they have no belief in parliamentary democracy. See, all these things will go take people.
Meanwhile, senior advocate Ram Jethmalani today moved the Supreme Court in his personal capacity against the governor's decision to invite the BJP to form the government. Jethmalani argued, alleged in fact, that it was a gross abuse of constitutional power, and a bench headed by Chief Justice Deepak Mishra has considered his submission and sought an urgent hearing. A 3-judge bench, which heard the matter in the early hours today, will reassemble tomorrow.
Whatever might happen, the democratic process must be honestly carried out. It may be that sometimes the process may go wrong, but this is not the way to interfere with it. At least there should be open publicity. What has the BJP said to the governor that the governor has done this? If you don't disclose the facts to the people, that itself is enough misbehavior in a constitutional office, in a democracy.
All right, the big story from the banking sector breaking for you on your screens just now. The government officials have told CNBC TV18 that public sector banks that are under RBI's prompt corrective action will need to be recapitalized immediately. Remember, Piyush Goyal, who has been given the charge of Finance Ministry for some time, met the heads of 11 public sector banks under prompt corrective action today. Sapna Das, who has been tracking that meeting, joins us now with the latest. Sapna, so what does this mean? Is the tranche, is the recap amount given by the government not enough? Will additional money be given to these 11 banks?
Hi, Ritu. As you are very much aware of the scenario of these banks, these 11 banks which are under PCA right now. So the sense that we have got from various government quarters is that probably a type of an SOS is being sent to the higher ups in the government setup. Flagging off the immediate cash requirement of these 11 banks, especially the ones, where the RBI's further instructions have come in terms of Dena and Allahabad Bank. The situation there is pretty bad. If you look at the kind of liners that we just put out in terms of, what are the issues, well, the private sector lending net NPAs are extremely high, almost covering 30 to 40% of the loan book account. Most of the money is also blocked in very high provisioning, almost 50% of that. Also, in terms of the first tranche of recap that had been given to some of these banks, we understand that that money was probably used to retire some of the earlier debt of the earlier bonds. So practically, most of these banks at the moment, the sense that we have been given is that they are not having any capital left to basically continue with whatever little business that they're doing at the moment. This is a scenario that has been given to us, and mind you, there is no provision in the budget as such for any cash infusion. If you recall, at the time of the recapitalization plan that was announced, it's also the recap bonds. Now, for that, the formality is that you have to wait for the parliament to convene, and then the government takes the nod. There's a procedure for that, and after that, the bonds are announced, and then the infusion goes ahead. The requirement, or rather the demand that has come in very clearly, is the fact that something needs to be done immediately. Now, whether the higher ups are going to do something about it, is it going to move forward? That's a question mark. We'll know more about that later in the evening when the minister will be meeting the banks again towards the evening. But this is what the scenario is. So probably, not very surprising if the government actually takes at least some of these demands on board and goes ahead with some kind of decision. Only point is that what is the decision? Because since there's nothing in the budget, and even then when you have to give that money, you basically need some kind of an approval. So that, how is that going to pan out? What are going to be the amounts? Smaller amounts for Dena and Allahabad Bank, but what about the other 9 banks? What could be the additionality that they are raising? So these are some of the particulars we have to wait for further details. But overall, it's a clear SOS coming out from all these 11 banks under PCA to higher ups in the government.
All right. Thank you so much, Sapna there. Sapna Das breaking this important story that the 11 banks under prompt corrective action may need urgent capital infusion. That is something that is being considered by the government. Meanwhile, speaking to CNBC TV18 earlier today, in his first official address after taking charge, Piyush Goyal said that RBI is diligently supervising the situation to ensure an orderly growth of the banking industry. Listen in.
The Reserve Bank of India, since 2015, after the Modi government came in, is really ensuring proper banking supervision, is taking action against defaulters, something which I believe under previous governments was not given the kind of serious attention that it deserved. The indiscriminate lending of the past has caused this distress that the banking sector is facing. And I'm very confident that with the diligent efforts of all my colleague bankers, all the lakhs of employees of the public sector banks, and all the stakeholders of the banking system working in close cooperation and under the guidance of our regulator, Reserve Bank of India, we will ensure a very orderly growth of the industry and the highest levels of probity and accountability that is expected of the public sector banks.
Straight on to the Dalal Street action now. A last hour of dip saw benchmarks end at the low point of the day. The mid-caps, however, bucked the trend. The Nifty breached the 10,700 mark, ending about 0.5% in the red. The Sensex shed about 240 points. Banks managed to hold on to the 26,000 mark, ending 100 points in the red. Mid-caps outperformed today with gains of about 0.2%. Anuj Singhal, as always, joins us with a wrap of today's trading action. Anuj, over to you.
Well, the markets continue to be under a bit of a bother. In fact, if you see the markets today, the Bank Nifty had weekly options expiry, so there was quite a bit of volatility. But ITC and Reliance led the decline. And on the other hand, ADAG stocks had a massive move in today's trade. ITC, Reliance, as I said, along with HDFC, major drag. On the Nifty, we have Hindalco, UPL, Axis, BPCL, Tata Steel, and Yes Bank as major losers. Stock of the day today was Bajaj Finance. Post those numbers, 7.5% surge on that. It got Finserv along with it, Sun Pharma and Bharti Airtel. ADAG, 60% rally in Relcom. Rel Naval and Reliance Power also doing well. Petronet, HCC and Granules were the other big winners, while PTC, GSFC and TVS Motor were the big losers. All in all, again a day where the bears would believe that the sell-on rally texture is now perfectly working.
All right, from equities to commodities then, crude oil prices continue to surge with the Brent inching closer to a near 4-year high of $80 a barrel. This as the latest data shows a drop in the US crude inventories. In fact, even a report by an international agency forecasting a drop in 2018 global oil demand from 1.5 million barrels per day to 1.4 million barrels has failed to stem the crude price surge. So what is driving these crude oil prices? Manisha Gupta, a commodity editor, is here to take us through the factors at play.
Well, thank you so much for that. Yes, we have seen, to be precise, $80.18 a barrel in the crude oil prices just a few minutes ago. So 80 has been broken. We have seen that psychological level being taken. And there's a whole list of fundamental factors on the stronger side which have been supporting the crude oil prices. To begin with, the premium started building up into the crude oil prices as and when you saw that Iran nuclear accord deadline being approached. But clearly, with US walking out of that, we have seen the crude oil prices gain up by 12% in last 1 month, and the prices are up 20% now in 2018. Very near term, we are looking at geopolitical concerns which are still on the surface. It also is about the OPEC compliance, which is at 150%, and the expectation that OPEC will continue to cut output as we go into 2018 and into 2019 as well. It is about record high demand in Asian markets. China last month itself, in the month of April, has imported record quantities. So that in turn are very supportive factors. And then you have Venezuela, which is headed for presidential elections on Sunday. There is quite a bit of uncertainty coming in from that. And on top of that, you also have seen supply concerns. If you look at the global inventories, they are down by 70% from where we were in January 2017. So all of these factors add up and continue to add premium to prices. The important thing also is that you have huge amount of speculative money also following these fundamentals, and that keeps the prices higher. We already have seen a huge amount of gain here, but from here on as well, nobody really is giving out a sell call. Goldman Sachs believes that from these levels as well, the crude prices have further space on the higher side. You have Bank of America Merrill Lynch report, which says that they are looking at $90 per barrel in the first half of year next year, and $100 per barrel is also a level that they're not ruling out. And then, of course, there also is the Morgan Stanley report, which says that an average crude oil prices would be at 90 in 2020. So every place that you look, it's not just this year, but 2019 and 2020 as well, where many of these banks and brokerages are putting out very bullish views.
All right, Manisha, thank you very much for joining in. So while the surge in prices augurs well for oil-producing countries, it is a big worry for oil-importing countries like India. Government officials tell CNBC TV18 that there will be implications on subsidies, revenues and also excise duty on fuel. Any surge in oil prices has major implications on India's fiscal math. So we learned that the government may have to reassess the pricing formula for LPG as well as kerosene subsidies. With crude prices scaling up, the government's budget estimates may overshoot by a whopping 10 to 20,000 crore rupees. So chances of any relief on excise duty also, any cut on excise duty also look very bleak. Sources say that the government will first consider its revenue position before taking any decision on cutting excise on petrol and diesel. There's a new twist in the tail in Bhushan Steel's case. Neeraj Singhal, who is the promoter of Bhushan Steel and also holds 20% stake in Bhushan Steel, has now challenged the NCLT order that gave nod to Tata Steel's resolution plan for Bhushan Steel to take over the company for 32,400 crore rupees. NCLAT has agreed to hear Neeraj Singhal's plea on May 21st. Now it remains to be seen whether or not there will be a stay on the sale of Bhushan Steel plants to Tata Steel, as has been in the case in Bhushan Power, where Liberty had challenged the order and that had put a stay on Tata Steel's bid for Bhushan Power. Now, moving on and staying with the insolvency space, Kritika Saxena caught up with TV Narendran, CEO and MD of Tata Steel, and began by asking him about the plans the company has for Bhushan Steel after receiving NCLT's nod to acquire the company. He said that Tata Steel will make additional investments for the plant expansion over the next 3 years.
It will continue to be a listed subsidiary of Bamnipal Steel, which is a SPV that we've set up. Bamnipal Steel will be 100% owned subsidiary of Tata Steel. Okay. And Bamnipal Steel will invest in Bhushan Steel. So eventually we will take a call. In a year or two, we will see how things go. Okay.
So no immediate plans to look at a delisting or a merger, at least for the next 1 or 2 years?
Absolutely.
5.1 to 5.5 million tons is the overall capacity that it has. It's functioning on 3.1 roughly?
About 3 to 3.5.
So what is the increase that you can look at, and by how much can you scale this in the near term?
So we can easily take it to 4.5 with the existing upstream facilities that they have.
In 1 year's time?
Yeah, in 1 year's time. That's our ambition. The sooner we get there, the better. So that is one part of it. Then we need to debottleneck and see what we can do to get the upstream facilities to 5.5. We have an option over the next 3 years as Kalinganagar ramps up, that we will have more slabs in Kalinganagar than we can use in Kalinganagar. Okay. So that allows us an opportunity to send slabs to Bhushan to make better use of their rolling facilities. So between Kalinganagar and Bhushan, we believe we can go to 5.5 million tons with increasing the existing upstream in Bhushan and supplementing with some of the slabs that we can get out of Kalinganagar. Beyond 5 million, we'll call for investments. But there is a potential in that side to take it to 8 million or even higher. So, but that will come after maybe 3 years or so, once we exploit the facilities that there are today.
Can you give us a quick breakup as well? 35,200 crore rupees is the overall amount that was offered. What's the exact breakup over there?
Breakup as in?
In terms of how much would be debt, how much is going to be done through cash?
Yeah, so basically the thinking just now is about 17 to 18,000 crores is the money that we put in from the reserves that we have as Tata Steel. As you saw yesterday in the numbers, we're sitting on cash of about 27,000 odd crores. So we have the ability to put in cash to that. The balance will come from debts which will lie on the balance sheet of Bhushan, because that will be fresh lending to Bhushan. So that's the 35,000 crores. Roughly 50% will be put in by Tata Steel from the cash it has, and 50% will be borrowed and put on the balance sheet of Bhushan.
Once the deal is done, what is the debt going to be for Bhushan Steel? Is it going to be 16,000?
Yeah, about 17,000 crores will be the debt on the Bhushan balance sheet. But we must also keep in mind, and I think we explained that in the analyst call yesterday. So what's going to happen is, if you look at the 55,000 crores debt that was on the Bhushan balance sheet, 35,000 crores, 35,200 is what we are paying the banks. And the balance debt, which is still lying on the Bhushan balance sheet, is being sold to us for 100 crores. So from a technical point of view, that 20,000 crores which is on the Bhushan balance sheet will be owed to Tata Steel.
So who are the shareholders aside from
so the
Tata
banks,
Steel 72%?
Yeah.
How much do lenders get?
Lenders is about 12%, and then there are some retail investors, and I think the promoter share at the end of it will come down to less than 2%.
Right, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of After the Bell. Stay tuned to CNBC TV18. Markets Today Talkback will be up next.